Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I myself am having a pretty good day. I have not been making videos as of much lately because I've been battling a cold, but now that I'm feeling better, I wanted to get right back into making content. This just came to me from Ringside News. The link will be in the comments section down below. Check them out. Former WWE executive Eric Bischoff endorses CM Punk's potential return. And I'll let you know what this is a little bit about because CM Punk's name has been making headwaves quite a bit since his AEW release. And it basically states that while speaking on Strictly Business, WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff talked about CM Punk joining WWE. Surprisingly, Bischoff stated that he believes CM Punk joining WWE would be great for the company. And he says, if I'm CM Punk and I wake up and have this conversation with myself, I just look at the clock and the calendar and I go, wait a minute, I've got maybe 3 years left. I could probably make a lot of money and go on a high note and my career on a positive note instead of this negative one. If Phillip Brooks is the type of man that first off recognizes it and realizes that he is at least 50% responsible for it, and if not more, the way he has handled himself and conducted himself. And the culture in WWE, I don't think it is going to be such that he is burned too many bridges, and there's no way. Bischoff added, I don't believe that at all. I believe that it's all up to Phillip Brooks and how honest he's capable of being with himself and what his goals are. He may have enough money in the bank after this last run or not give an F. And that's a pretty interesting statement. But what Eric Bischoff and others are failing to realize, if CM Punk wanted to go back to WWE, he would have done this a lifetime ago. He would have never gone to AEW. And there's a lot of stuff on YouTube as it is with people putting CM Punk returns in the video title of WWE. And they're ignoring the fact, as well as Eric Bischoff, that sometimes when harm happens between two parties, it's permanent damage to where a person is never going to want to go back and be affiliated with the other people that they've had an issue with. Everybody pushes the narrative that they all come running back to WWE. That is completely false. Not every WWE superstar came running back. CM Punk has proven to have more moral integrity to refuse WWE's money and go back to them. He wants to basically choose to be elsewhere. And remember that WWE did that permanent damage when they made him work in cost. He had a staph infection. He was creatively not really being utilized the right way. You know, he had personal heat with Vince McMahon and Triple H. They fired him on his wedding day. All this is permanent damage to where he chooses not to go back to WWE. And he also has proven that there's some things that money cannot fix. When CM Punk went to AEW and proved that he did not want to go back to WWE, I believe that regardless of the circumstances that led to them having the falling out that they did, it was a much better decision than going back to a company that only pushes one or two people and would rather rely on past part-timers than push full-timers to the top of the ladder. Not like they used to do 20 years ago. Just because CM Punk is out of AEW, it does not mean he's going back to WWE. And if he did go back to WWE, what would be waiting for him? Vince McMahon would punish CM Punk because of all the stuff that led to his falling out with WWE, the medical issues, the lawsuit with the WWE doctors. Do you really think that he would be that stupid to go back and put up with that, knowing that a senile old man would be waiting to punish him? If anything, Punk is staying away from WWE because he knows WWE is just waiting to punish him again. They'll throw him to Roman Reigns or somebody else, and then he'll be buried. And if CM Punk really needed WWE as badly as people claim, why did he leave to begin with when he would have stayed with the company? There are some things that go on that people can never forgive. The man wants nothing to do with WWE. I believe it's the right decision. And I'm not really disagreeing or agreeing with Eric Bischoff here, but everybody's situation when they leave is different. Not everybody has the same situation. And I believe that CM Punk going elsewhere was the better decision, despite he had the falling out with Tony Khan in AEW. And now there was a report out that apparently Impact Wrestling and him are talking. And that I firmly believe is the last resort. Because if CM Punk joins Impact Wrestling and has a falling out with them, then I honestly think that he needs to retire and stay away from wrestling. And regardless of what your opinions are on the AEW CM Punk falling out, you need to remember that the man at the end of the day just wants to be happy. Some would say his bad attitude is what got him released. Others are saying, no, it's Tony Khan and AEW that messed up. I believe both parties played a part in that whole thing. But Eric Bischoff claiming that CM Punk possibly, and I say possibly, coming back to WWE would be good for the company. Technically, I don't believe that at all. Yes, from a standpoint, he will get a thunderous ovation if he was to return. And yes, he probably would have some great matches with some of the talents in WWE. But after all the shoot interviews that he did, bashing WWE, bashing Vince McMahon, bashing Triple H, if he did go back to WWE after all of that, I believe he would be seen as a sellout. And that's something I think also he knows in the back of his mind. I really do believe that he doesn't want anything to do with WWE, despite they would offer him a lot of money. But creatively, what would they do with them? And I firmly believe that WWE would trick him and bring him back and then just bury him again. It's just the way that they operate. Not everybody that returns to WWE is pushed the right way. I'm reminded years ago when Christian Cage was at the top of TNA and he was the world champion. He was, without a doubt, his TNA run was far superior than his WWE run was. He goes back to WWE and they throw him in a paper ECW cheap copycat brand of the original. And then he gets moved over to SmackDown. He wins the world title and then has to lose it in his first title defense to a guy who was a champion numerous times. And then he's basically thrown to a mid-card status. But that's just an example of it. Somebody comes back to the company and they're basically thrown to the bottom of the barrel, if not stuck at mid-card status. That's just an example of what I'm talking about is if somebody does come back, that means WWE is going to have a punishment waiting for them. Even though when Christian left WWE for TNA, it was completely different circumstances than what CM Punk went through. But the problem, again, with this logic is people always generally make the mistake of assuming that everybody that leaves is on the same circumstances when it's not the case. What would there for him to do in WWE if he did go back? Yeah, he would get thrown to Roman Reigns, probably. But I also think it would not work out well with him going back because it was mentioned some time ago that there were talents that didn't want CM Punk back in WWE. I mean, he's had heat with a lot of people, and that's something that everybody needs to acknowledge. Go back and watch the shoot interviews with CM Punk going after talents. He went after Ryback. He went after John Cena. He went after The Rock. The list just goes on and on. So if he went back to a WWE locker room, would he be welcomed with open arms? I don't think he would be. Because of all the stuff that happened between him and WWE, I just don't see the logic of him going back to WWE being a good thing. Most likely, he'll continue to wrestle elsewhere, and then he'll retire. And I think that's where it's going to go. And at the end of the day, Phillip Brooks, he's going to continue to prove that not everybody goes running back to WWE. And there are some things that are more important than money. It's called happiness. The guy needs to stay away from WWE forever. Anywhere else he can wrestle is fine. I don't think Tony Khan and AEW are going to forgive the stuff that happened with him and them. But there are other companies, Impact Wrestling, he can wrestle in Japan. There's so many things he could do to where he doesn't need Vince McMahon's money. And I think at the end of the day, it's happiness over greed. That is the case. I think that he's too good to go back and wrestle for a company that obviously caused him more problems. And I think that at the end of the day is what is on his mind, and he doesn't need WWE at all. I've openly supported this man not going back to WWE. I really have. And I think it needs to stay that way. I think if people, regardless of what they think of CM Punk, they need to understand that it's not always about money, that sometimes happiness can play a part, and that matters more than anybody lining their pockets with money. WWE isn't the only place in town. And when he finishes his career elsewhere, he's going to keep proving that they all truly don't come running back to WWE. So that's just my take on the whole thing. Do you agree with Eric Bischoff's statements? Comment down below in the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel. Thanks again for watching, everybody. And I'm going to try and kick the remainder of this cold out of my system and get back to making videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'm out of here.